आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, all the sensory and motor organs and the life force become strong and efficient. All is verily the one without second, ever blissful existence itself, the Brahman. Let me never deny this truth of blissful oneness. May this truth never reject me either. May all the virtues needed to experience this truth in life, as spoken of by the Upanishads, be with me. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel this oneness that we spoke of in the prayer just now by going beyond our shape and the name associated with it. In fact, as I step outside my shape, all shapes vanish. There is no shape and thus no name. I am able to see the one substance that pervades everything. Like in various animal crackers. Just because of shapes, they get different names. the same substance in all. Let us feel this, the innumerable shapes, sizes, things, persons, all are intrinsically, actually, substantially one. There is no multiplicity. There is no time and space. There is no coming and going. There are no desires. For it is all bliss. This state is God, the goal. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, this is the 52nd class on the stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have been studying this very interesting idea that the mother Devahuti, her name, and she knew her son is God incarnate. And so, when he grew up and wanted to give up the world, renounce everything, she said, well, but first you give me the knowledge by which I will get liberated from this bondage of world. It is the knowledge that liberates, because ignorance is what binds. So it stands to reason that the knowledge liberates. And so she asked that how to get that knowledge, and he said it is bhakti, the devotion. So let us begin this discussion today with our regular prayers. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of the three gunas subsists, just as the combination of materials like fire, water and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. So, we saw last time that how this bhakti gets inculcated. Bhakti means the love towards the supreme goal or God. The love has to flow towards God, who is actually our true self too. God is our true self and is also pervaded in everything as its soul. So, the love has to go to that. But what is happening is that it all gets frittered away by our attractions to various other things, and therefore there is no really the force of love left to go to the God, to the ideal. And so, therefore, he had suggested that what has to be done is to plug all these holes by which this power of love gets wasted, dissipated, and creates all sorts of problems of attachment. If I just get attracted to an object, then that object binds me. I get attached to that, it becomes my bondage. Then I love another thing, then that becomes another bondage. So this becomes, a succession of ever strengthening bondage around our actually true free nature. And therefore we find it so problematic. It becomes such a suffering. So the way is that do not let your mind get attracted towards all these things. If it gets attracted, tell it, there is nothing there. It is just a mirage. It is just illusion. Don't go there. Go to the source of it. Go to the source of it. And going to the source means you have to turn away from the reflections. The reflections are in the opposite direction. Like when you stand in front of the mirror, Your reflection is in the opposite direction. You are seeing your reflection. You are in one direction, the reflection is in the other direction. So therefore now you have to turn your gaze. And this is the conserving the power of love. And then you don't have to direct it to God, as it is said here. Then they get naturally focused on God. God is the natural goal, so no extraneous effort is needed to get bhakti. It comes in life spontaneously with irresistible power. This is what the great teacher of bhakti, Narada, tells in his aphorisms too, that it is natural. The love is natural in human beings. In all beings actually, love is natural. So when its misuse gets stopped, it goes automatically towards its true object of love. And we can see the love towards God alone is where it finds the proper response and the love goes on increasing. To all other things, when we love that, afterwards, in a short while actually, that attraction turns into repulsion. The love changes into enmity. We don't like the thing that we liked at one time because they are not naturally the objects of love. Object of love is God alone, and therefore when directed to God, what happens? It keeps on increasing. That love automatically keeps on increasing. If you throw a ball up in the air, then you will see that it is going up, but its speed is reducing. It is, and at one point it stops, it ceases to go further up. It then naturally starts coming down because of the gravity of earth. It gets pulled down, and you see that its speed starts increasing. There is the acceleration that is how when the love gets directed towards God, abstracting it from all other things, then it finds its natural goal. So the love moves to God. That is called bhakti. So it is, it comes in life spontaneously with irresistible power. Its power can never be resisted then. Whatever you do, it will have to go to God. There is, you cannot stop it by law or force or whatever. Nothing can stop it. Some such devotees do not care even for liberation, moksha, but they get it automatically. That is what the son Kapila is telling his mother, that who cares, that love is good enough. I love God. I don't worry about whether that will liberate me or not, because one characteristic of true love is that there is no bargain in it and there is no fear in it. Other loves, there is bargain. Will you do this for me? Then I love you. Otherwise, get out. It is. But love for God, being true love, there is no bargain associated with it and no fear associated with it. So whether I get liberated or I don't get liberated, the real devotee does not bother about it. It is just I want to have this love to God intensified. And but then that is liberation. As you come closer and closer to God, you merge in that God, you become one with that God. That is liberation. So that is how, whether you want or not, you get it. But since there is no bargain in love, the devotee does not specifically ask for it. Whatever, whether I get this liberation or not, who cares? I want my God. So this is how the situation is, and that Kapil then tells that, look, it is by bhakti, practice of which includes this discernment and renunciation, one attains to God and goes beyond all fear. This is what happens. Why it is mentioned the practice of bhakti? Automatically it has to involve that discernment and renunciation. It is many times, somehow or other, devotees get the idea that in the path of knowledge you require renunciation, you require discernment. No, although that they are the primary characteristics in the path of knowledge, the path of knowledge also involves bhakti or love. And although the bhakti or love is the primary thing in that path of bhakti, yet there has to be the spirit of discernment and renunciation in the beginning, what is called in Sanskrit Viveka and Vairagya. We have read that story long ago in Bhagavatam, that this bhakti was depicted as a lady, and then Narada asked her, what is it that why you are so sad? Narada finds her in Vrindavan. She narrated the story that I was actually born in Dravida Desh, that is what now is called, the South Tamil Nadu and those areas. So I was born there, then I came upwards here, and then as I grew, I came here in Vrindavan. But look here, my two sons have become unconscious. They are lying unconscious. You see, they are lying unconscious. Who are these two sons? These two sons, one is discernment, Viveka, and then the other is Vairagya, the spirit of renunciation. So these two sons are lying unconscious, and therefore this lady bhakti, devotion, which mother will be happy if her mother, her two sons are lying unconscious there. So she was not knowing what to do now, how to enliven them, bring them back. So to make bhakti strong, functional in one's life, the idea was that the spirit of discernment and renunciation, they have to be strengthened. So, and then one goes beyond all fear. You have to walk that path. The practice of bhakti takes you to a place. This is a path. So in path there is always, the three things, that this is the destination, and this is the path, and I am walking on that path in the right direction. All these three things are there. So, but when you reach the destination, now the path is finished. And you and destination have become one. So there is now nothing, or it is non-dual experience at that level. But till then, assiduously, with great determination, without relenting, we have to keep to the path, follow the path. So this is what brings then the fearlessness. So now it is he tells Kapila that I will now explain to you how this universe is made. It is all God. You should see that it is actually yourself. Your true self appears as this universe. It is difficult to think. I appear as this universe. What do you mean? I see the universe, I am here, and then the universe all around me is this universe. It affects me, I affect it. I change the things, it changes me. This universe makes me sometimes sick, sometimes healthy, sometimes it makes me happy, sometimes sad. And in this universe I do so much activity. The two things appear to be different, but the whole universe is just the manifestation of self in this apparent duality. The one self appears as all these. This is a major important thing in Vedanta, and in fact in all religious disciplines, this thing is to be properly appreciated. And so he says, look, this is called Purusha, the self, the conscious entity that dwells in every single thing that you see. It is, you see it in you, you see it in things that you see. Everything has a conscious entity, and then that conscious entity here and there, they are not different. The conscious entity in what I call me, and then all the microbes that are in this body, the conscious entity in them, although apparently different, it is all actually same, one being. Then how it becomes many? Vedanta says no how and why there, because logic comes only after this. Logic works only when there are three things. The one who is reasoning, the one that about which the reasoning is going on, and the process of reasoning. All these three things, they have to be there. So then logic can work. So, but this is, then how to understand that? Said that is the independent reality, this Purusha. And this Purusha is, everything is evolving from it. That is its nature. It is the nature of this Purusha that in spite of being one, it appears as many. Obviously, as we discussed just now, you cannot say why it happens, how it happens, who does it, all those things. There is no room for these questions, because these questions can be asked only in manifold, not in one without second. So this being spontaneously manifests as many, and this phenomena that without any change this happens. The one without any modification, without any change, appears as many. The example is given, but these are just examples. Don't take them literally. Like a log of wood appears as bare. One of our nuns, she was driving in the evening and then stopped on the road, a forest road, and so she stopped. She knew that there are bears around, so she saw a bear there. And then naturally bears, they have the right of way, isn't it? So she stopped, let the bear pass, then I will go. At that time another car came from the opposite direction, and in that light she clearly saw that it is a log of wood, it's not bear. Now how that bear got transformed, that log of wood got transformed into bear, it didn't undergo any transformation. But for that driver, for that lady, it was real. That affected her driving. She stopped. What she was seeing was definitely a bear. Had she been seeing the log of wood, would she have stopped there? No, it is only because she saw the bear, she stopped. Exactly, friends, similarly, if we see God, then our life will be different. Because we don't see the reality, we see this so many things, that one without second has not undergone any change, and yet it appears as many. We see that many. We see I and the world. We get scared. Oh, what will happen to me? So many questions come up. The head really goes on vibrating so intensely, especially that is the something that the psychologists have to deal always, that somebody saw, and then all the different things in the brain started going so fast and in such a chaotic manner that that person could not decide what to do, what not to do, and did something stupid. And then repented for it, but it was already done. And then that trauma remains. Now that person cannot get out of that trauma. So, now, why? Because the perception itself was not right. Many ask this question, that if this universe is just an appearance, if it is not real, then how can it affect us? Well, somebody seeing the bear while driving may get a heart attack and die. A non-existent bear can kill also, you say. It is exactly. It affects us because we are not seeing the truth. And in the whole this process, when the nun saw that it is a log of wood, she knew that the log of wood did not change into bear, and just because the light came on it, the bear did not vanish and the log, leaving the log of wood there. It is nothing had happened to the log of wood, only I am cheated, that's all. So this is how our confusion in this world tells us that we are being cheated. whatever we expect, that doesn't happen. And the contradictions keep on, gathering. So it is all very difficult. Why this happens? Well, nothing can be told, but it evolves like the bear evolved out of the log of wood. Mm. In Vedanta, you hear about the snake evolving from the rope. Always in all Shankara's commentaries and you get this example. I was advised to change it to something that American people can connect better, because here hardly anybody has seen a rope appearing as snake. So anyway, and this incident that I told was a real incident. So it does happen. So it is just from that one this universe appears. How? And then it is told, that there is this God has this Prakriti or nature, Purusha, means the one consciousness in everything. And we have this in our awareness, this problem that we think that there is something that is living and something that is non-living. Animate, inanimate, living and non-living. We are accustomed to make these divisions without actually being able to draw any boundary, that where the living merges into non-living, what is the line of demarcation. It is impossible to draw that kind of a line as to what is the essence of life, what is the definition of living and non-living. It has been expanding for ages, that it is living, non-living, who knows, it is at one time that a great scientist that he wrote a book on life, that it is what is life. Erwin Schrödinger, his name. He had studied Vedanta also. So he said that it is the life is essentially this consciousness. And so it is impossible to make these demarcations as to living and non-living. It is, he says that at some point it was thought, and it is recorded also, that women have no life, only men have life. Then the animals, except human beings, other animals, they have no life. They are, and then it was, when it was shown they have life, okay, they may have life, but they are lower life. It is, how do you define now lower life and higher life? No way. Then for a long time it was thought the plants don't have life. But it was shown that they have life. What is there that is lifeless? It is impossible to say that. But we have the awareness that something has life in it. Something doesn't have life in it. And so what is that essence of life in anything is called Purusha, that which stays in it. And like I feel that there is life in me, so somewhere it must be there. So it is, the word Purusha means the one that is staying, the one who lives in a town. This body is town, as it were, and I living in that town, the consciousness living in this town of body. A very beautiful idea, Purusha. And then its nature. undifferentiated from it, inseparable from it. It is inseparable from Purusha. What is it? That it appears as many. Although one appears as many, that is called Prakriti. In Sankhya philosophy, they make a distinction. The two entities get combined together, as it were. That there is the living consciousness and then the dead matter. They, as it were, combine to make everything. So, the Sankhya philosophy, it is, as it goes, logically, it is great. And many of its conclusions, they are accepted by Vedanta in many ways. But yet, this fundamental difference that it begins with the assumption of these two. Vedanta says that they are not two, it is the one God that appears as many. So, now it is said that, look, the Purusha, the consciousness supreme, appears divided and into a complex world of enjoyer and enjoyed. It is three gunas of Prakriti. It is there is no parallel to this idea in Western philosophy. I looked into many of these Western philosophers, even the old Greek philosophers, but there is nothing that is parallel to this idea that these three qualities or the triple nature from which this all evolves. One is of that darkness called tamas. Its qualities are inertia. Then there is the one that of the somewhat mixed light, and then it is they called rajas. It gives rise to desires and activity. Activity guided by those desires. And then there is this sattva, which is the light of knowledge or wisdom. These three, just imagine a prism. Through a prism, when the light of the sun, now the sun is one, but then gets multiplied into a huge variety. You know, so many things happen there, and their relationship is very complex. No, it is so difficult to actually see. Each is prompted by a desire. And what happens there? Now the enjoyer-enjoyed division comes in. The big bondage comes in life because of this enjoyer-enjoyed. All these different billions, trillions of all different things, each of them thinks that I am the enjoyer, and then the world is enjoyed, to be enjoyed. This world is for me to enjoy. It is like a bee thinks that, well, it is the flowers are for its enjoyment. These plants are there for it getting its nutrition, getting the honey and so forth. But the plant thinks that this bee is the object that makes for my proliferation. I get multiplied by using these bees. So now the subject-object gets turned on its head. And we all, while we think that we are subjects and we enjoy. We many times are not conscious that we are, as we see, is an object also. Like coronavirus thinks us as object, isn't it? This object, I will eat these objects. And just as a prey runs away from the hunter to protect itself, we also are running away from corona, trying to obstruct it, trying to block its passage and so forth. Create vaccinations for it. Now, we all have this subject awareness and an object awareness. Both are there. That is why this is a big enigma, friends. While I think I am a subject, I want others also to enjoy me. That is why I want to look good so that people will appreciate me. I want to be in the good books of people so that, what does it mean? It is, I pander to the public opinion, because while I feel I am enjoyer, I also want, unconsciously, I am aware of this being enjoyed, an object. This is a very difficult to discern. He mentions, let me read a little. This is the chapter 26th. Thus, the Purusha appropriates for himself, through this imaginative identification, the actions of the gunas of Prakriti, and thereby becomes endowed with the feeling that he is. It is here, he doesn't need to be taken in a gender specific way. It should not be. It is, everybody feels I am the doer, I am the agent. And then there is this world on which I am acting. Now, we are confusion, just see. I think I am this body, but I am acting actually on this body. I put food outside, I put the food in this body. So, I am not the body, I am filling this bag with some food. It is, I am an agent and I am not the body. But where is this I? It is, you can't find it at all because it is all so mixed up. It is a very inexplicable process, friends. So, this agentship, enjoyership, enjoyer, enjoyed, it is in Taittiriya Upanishad. I like that statement. It says that you say that you are eater, but you are being eaten also. It is, that is the definition of food that is given there. Adyate atticha bhutani tasmad annam taduchyate iti. That it is being adyate. Means first thing is it eats you. And atticha bhutani, it is being eaten. Bhutani, atti means they all beings eat it, and it eats all beings. That is why it gets called food. It is like, say, Bernadette ate a cake or whatever. Then now, while she would say, I am the eater, the cake is eaten. Now, the cake has become her body, she calls that I. So, actually that cake has eaten her. She has gone into the food. So, that is how the food eats us. Very important point to remember, that there is this relationship can never be, it is always two-sided. It is a reciprocal relationship. Just as I am seeing you, you are seeing me. And when think I am seer, you are all seen. But then when you are looking, each of you becomes a seer, and this thing becomes seen. So, it is impossible, though the Purusha is in reality only actionless, free, blissful, and uninvolved witness of the movements of this Prakriti. This imaginative identification makes him feel himself to be agent and enjoyer, subject to, and thus becomes bound, subjected to samsara. This is all the bondage, this identification. Misguided imaginary identification. In one commentary, Shankaracharya describes, it is a commentary on a verse in Kathopanishad, that look how deep is this ignorance, that nobody told us that you are body, but you still see that you are body. It is automatic, as it were, I am the body. How it came, just imaginary. There is no connection at all between this consciousness, I, and this body. So, just as the reflection of sun in, say, millions of droplets, now the sun has not entered in any of them, and yet there each of them sees I am different. You get that different sensation. Each sun appears to be different. The sun here and sun there. Now the sun is not different. Therefore we think I here is different from I there. I am a good person, that fellow is a bad person. We make such things easy, these assumptions. It all depends, is all based on this imaginary identification. We are just hypnotized. Sometimes it is asked that in meditation you imagine there is God in your heart and all that, and try to feel that God. Is it not hypnotizing yourself? Yatishwaranandji, in that beautiful book Meditation and Spiritual Life, gives the answer, no, it is process of dehypnotizing. You are hypnotized that I am this body. It is the basic hypnotization. It is, and getting hypnotized, you are doing all things that are hurting you. Dehypnotizing will stop that hurting. See the result. Those who have been able to dehypnotize themselves in this way, they go beyond all fear, beyond all bondage, and are ever infinitely blissful. So, compare that with others who are caught in this misconceived imaginary idea that I am this body. It is a laughable idea actually, and yet it is that how we feel. Therefore Shankaracharya says in that commentary, Aho atigambhira vichitra duravagaya chayam yadayam sarvo jantu momuyamana. That it is really very deeply rooted, this ignorance, this imagination that I am so and so. and I was born on this date in this year, now I am so many years old. It is a deeply rooted deception. And it makes things so varied. Each appears to be different. You form relations with them. That this person is my friend, this person is my enemy, this person is my mom, this is my dad. All imagination. It is, that is why Jesus never made this, you don't see him calling that Mary as his mother and that carpenter Joseph as his father. My Father in heaven. That is the source. It is because he is not identified with body to say that that's my mother and that's my father. No. It is, we make such relations. This is my child. This is, then it goes on expanding. And you say my children. Now, what connection you have? Nothing, but still you get bound, tied with that. Then those children's children, my grandchildren. Well, that is how it is called samsara, never ending. And so, infinitely many souls appear through this manifestation of these three. The three is a funny number. Those who do the painting and all, they know that with the three primary colors you can produce any color. All varieties can be produced. There are these two standards, I think. What is it, Bernadette? RBG and some other. So they with, if you have these three, you manufacture all variety. So therefore these three gunas, they manufacture all variety. So it is, therefore you see, each of these souls is a mysterious compound of matter and consciousness, Prakriti and Purusha, each having a distinct, separate individuality without any separating boundaries. No separating boundary, that is the real difficulty. It keeps on changing. So, on what this is based? We are so illogical and then still posed to be logical. There is no boundary and yet you say, I am this and the other is that. We are very illogical. Each is enjoyer and enjoyed. Then knower and known combined. The enjoyed matter comes from Prakriti, the enjoyer from Purusha. So you make these distinctions. This is how Bhagavad Gita describes this. That so all the modifications, they happen in this Prakriti, in this three gunas that make for all the distinctions, all the activity, all the processes that go there. And then who gets the result of it? The enjoyment or the opposite of it? The bhoga, as it is called in Sanskrit. The resultant comes to what is called the consciousness caught in it. So that is how we are happy. When I say I am happy, what is happy really? This inert matter whether gross or subtle, it cannot be happy. The conscious entity is happy. But then the changes did not happen in the conscious entity to make it happy or sad. The entity that it happened elsewhere. Like somebody becomes happy because their club played well and won the Super Bowl or whatever tournament. Now this fellow didn't do anything. Those players, they ran around, they played. But more than those players, this fellow becomes happy. Now who becomes happy? Not the matter. So this is an important thing, You see all these different beings, they get mixed up, they come, they go, they change. So thus, you see, it is who gets the enjoyment part of it? It's a very intricate idea, friends, It is all, everything as you saw just now turns upside down. You think one way, then your understanding changes. Our resolves also change, therefore. Should I do this? No, changes. So, this is an important point. One can read the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to get how this, through gunas, how this multiplicity just springs forth. So 13th and 14th chapter, especially 14th chapter, is about that. So we shall conclude with the closing chant, and then if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Nigamakkalpatarurgalitam phalam Shukamukhadanmritadrava-sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuruho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O devotees, quaff, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his words. The word Shuka means parrot also, and it is a fruit that is pecked with a parrot is sure to be tasty and juicy. So people going in forest and living on the produce in that fruits that they find on the trees, there is nothing else to eat. So now, but which fruits to be eaten? Some could be poisonous. So they look at the fruit that is pecked by these birds. And parrot is supposedly, I am not sure, but since that is the story, the parrot is the one who exactly identifies the properly ripe fruit, and then you can eat it. So there are other birds who peck at the not ripe fruits also. They can eat that. But parrot knows which is ripe, which is sweet, and just pecks that. So therefore this is very sweet because it is mixed with the ambrosia from that parrot. The idea is not only the parrot identifies the sweet fruit, but when it pecks, puts some ambrosia, some sweetness into it. So any questions? Are there any questions, Juhi?
There is one question from Charlie. If love comes spontaneously, why do we need to make a determined effort?
Oh, this I think I explained. Love comes spontaneously. The determined effort is to stop its misuse. going in different, in wrong way. Somebody told me how to drive the car. Oh, car, it has the engine, it drives itself. You don't have to, you drive means give it proper direction, control the movement properly. That is why you need to learn driving. Otherwise the motion is there. So love is there, but what happens is it gets frittered away in all wrong directions. And so you have to make determined efforts to stop it from going in wrong direction. That's all. And then to help that, you can make it, give it the direction, the right direction. Make effort first to give it right direction also. So both ways, the misguided flow of love will stop, and then the proper flow of love will emerge in life.
One question from Seema Rajkondavar.
Yes.
These are the facts, but the self-stationing of our nature cheats us. How to make it permanent?
One has to therefore keep on impressing it on our minds again and again. Repeatedly one has to get involved in it. When you repeat it, that is why there is the process of repeating the mantra. Swami Vivekananda says, repeat it thousands of times that I am divine. Even if you fail to experience it, even if you fail to put it in practice, don't give up. Again and again keep on reminding yourself that you are divine. And thus, gradually this transformation takes place. Therefore there are these stories. These stories are inspirational and also tells us, they tell us that it can take thousands of years. Therefore it is told that some sage they did the devotional practices for 10,000 years. Now there is, of course, for a human being one cannot do 10,000 years, but this exaggeration is to impress that it is to be done repeatedly. It is, and after many years, or you may say even after many lifetimes, it manifests properly in our life. We experience it. Once it happens, it doesn't need to be done. You don't need reminders for that. You are Seema Rajkondavar, and somebody else doesn't need to tell you. Even you yourself does not have to repeat it that, well, I am this Seema Rajkondavar. You know it spontaneously. That is how you will know. Next step will be this: I am Seema Rajkondavar, I am God. That will come automatically. Yes, Ajay? Prism is not exactly the mind. The prism is that which manufactures mind. These are the three gunas from which various things, they by their combination come. One of them is the mind. So mind is an evolute of these three gunas. We saw it in Bhagavatam earlier, that how these three gunas combine and then make for 5 elements. and each of them that has the subtle, the sattvika aspects of that, they combine together to make the mind. Each of those sattvic they make for the various organs of this, or sense organs. So that is how the mind becomes it is actually an evolute of this process, not the origin of it. Yeah. Yes, please.
Is it Kapila? He is like the main proponent of Sankhya philosophy?
Oh, this question gets asked often. Yeah, the question that it is the Sankhya philosophy, and then this Kapila. This Sankhya Yoga that he is telling here is absolutely not the Sankhya Yoga, or I mean the Sankhya philosophy that you read in the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. It is very different. This is actually a technique of Vedanta to separate. Sankhya, this word comes from Sankhya, means using logic and reasoning. That is how this word Sankhya, that is the same meaning that in Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter gets called Sankhya Yoga. It has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy and this Sankhya Yoga of Bhagavad Gita, or what Kapila is telling here, there is a similarity in process of reasoning and logic there. But the Sankhya philosophy begins with a different assumption and therefore reaches also a different conclusion. It is.
Talk about the different philosophies. Then we say the Sankhya philosophy, the proponent is.
Yeah, but we have not a single literature of Kapila available, that Sankhya, this thing. It is Ishwar Krishna's these verses, they are studied. Kapila, see, and if at all there is something like that, this Kapila is not same as that Kapila. That is to be understood, like this Abhijit is not the Abhijit who got the Nobel Prize a few years ago, isn't it? The name is same, but then you didn't get the Nobel Prize. Still waiting, good, wait. Yeah, there is hope, yeah. So, yes, Prithvish. Yes. I have no idea. Maybe, may not be. I have no idea if that is the same. There are so many Kapila Muni's ashramas in India, but whether any of them, because Kapila is a very common name in ancient India. Even in modern times, we have so many these kids named Kapila. So, who knows? But this certainly, this message here is certainly very different from the Sankhya philosophy discussed in those 6 systems. That's for sure. Yeah. So let us conclude with the closing chant. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल।